Hello, welcome to Eastern Christian's coding class, and I wanted to give you an overview of how to navigate around our website that we use to do all of our work in this class. So if you are already on it, or you can just look along on mine, this is our Canvas website. You should have already been given the code to get here, otherwise you wouldn't have been able to see it anywhere. But you might want to bookmark this because it's a website you'll come back to many times. So I just wanted to show you around and kind of teach you how to get around and how to get the work in the best ways. I've seen a lot of ways I didn't expect people to use this website, and so I wanted to make this video to say here's how I would use it if I were you. So the first thing is, of course, our class is all about badges and earning badges, doing work that will earn you badges. And so everything on here is driven by that. So you might think to yourself, I'm going to click on this badges button. Excuse me. But I've actually think that there's a better way to do it, and I'm going to show you that way in just a second. The first thing I'll mention is that usually at the top of the page there'll be some announcements or other information for you to use. This part right here about the websites that we use will always be there. This part's just here for the first day, and then this will go away after a few days. But these websites we'll use a lot, so there'll be links to them right at the top. Then the next thing down is about badges, and so this is how I would get to them rather than clicking on the side. I know it's a little annoying because you have to scroll, I guess, to get to them. But let's just say you're working on a badge, and even though we are probably going to be in the algorithms badge first, I'm going to just click on the first coding badge that we do, our introduction to coding, which is called Python Basics. I'm going to click on that badge to show you how this works. And so every badge has a page related to it, and that tells you exactly what you need to do. At the top, there might be some information that you could read, but for the most part, everything that you do is going to be through these three sections in a table called Learn It, Do It, and Prove It. And so if you always think to yourself when you start a badge, okay, what are the things I need to learn in order to do this badge? Those things will be in the Learn It section. So in this instance, when I click on Notes, it's going to bring up, oh, look at that, that's special. Because I didn't yet make my notes work, but they should be built in, but if they're not built in, you can click on them and you can get to them. So here's a slideshow about how computers work. And so that's like the first thing you need to do in order to get to that. Now it's a little annoying because you're like, well, how do I get back? And what you want to do is you just probably want to hit the back button for now. Okay, and then here's a getting started in Python video, and so here there's a video built into this page that you can look at to learn some things, right? So, and again, I'm going to use, when I'm here and I want to get back to my Learn It, Do It, Prove It, I'm always going to use the back button. I'm not going to click this previous and next things because they are actually bring you to different things. So I'm just going to hit my back button there. I wonder if there might be a way I can create something over on this side to make it easier. But anyway, and so that's to say you've learned what you need to do and you want to start doing your assignments. So when I click on assignment 1, it's going to give me, here's what my assignment is. And so you have to create this program. The first thing that you'll notice is that I created a video that shows you, if you play this video and watch it, it'll show you exactly what the program should look like when it's done. That's what I mean by sample output, is it shows you if you run this program and it works, it'll look like this. So it doesn't give you any coding hints, it just says, see if when you run your program, if it looks like how mine does when I ran my program. If you need more help than that, and you actually need some instructions or some tips on how to do things, those will be in other videos. So I try to go through and think through things I've seen students make mistakes on a lot, and those will be in the tip videos, right? So here's tip 1, tip 2, and some common errors that I see. So different assignments will have different numbers of videos depending on how many of those tips there are. Each tip should be fairly short. The learning videos might sometimes go on a little bit, but the tip videos should be, 5 minutes or less, because they're just kind of focused you on one thing. Now, you have watched the tips, you've created your code. Let's just say I'm not going to show you that part of it in this video because I'm just showing you how to use this website, but you're ready to turn in your code. Well, there's a couple ways you can do that when I click on that new attempt button. One way that I could turn in my code is I could go to the file upload and I could upload a file. So if I've downloaded a file or saved a file on my computer that runs Python code, I could then upload that file here and submit it. If, on the other hand, I, let's just say, have a link to a website that I did. If in that case, I could go to text entry and I could just type in or paste the link, from here into my text entry. You could theoretically copy and paste your code itself into here. I wouldn't recommend doing that, because if you make a mistake in your code and I want you to fix it, I don't want you to fix it in this assignment. I want you to fix it in your coding program where you're actually seeing if it works, right? You're not going to just type in some text here and say, oh, there's the fix. You actually want to go back and fix it in actual Python. So I would just put a link here and then submit the link. You could also, if you did copy and paste it, maybe you want to put the link as well, right? Because then you could go back to it if you ever forget it. There's other things too where you could put in a Google Doc or a link to a Google Drive here. But for the most part, you enter in something, you show me, here is my code, and you hit the submit assignment button. And now you get some cool little confetti when you submit something, and then you're done. Now, what will eventually happen, and you can see this over here, the submission details, but let's pretend that that's not there yet. I just want to show you something else from the very front page. So I'm going to go back to the front page. I've submitted some of my work, and I want to see how I did. So, I, as your teacher, get that work on my computer, and I grade it. And what you'll get is you'll get these recent feedback button section down here. So if you want to know, did I get the right grade on it, look for your recent feedback. It'll always be in this bottom corner. In this case, the feedback was that they did this assignment wrong. And so this was what I tried to assign. Here is my code. And the comment back was, this is not correct. And you'll notice up here, the grade was 7 out of 10. So I didn't get a chance to, do this problem correctly, so I got a 7 out of 10. Remember, in this class, you're always trying to get a 90%, 9 out of 10. If it's out of 100 points, you want to get 90 out of 100. Just think, I always want to get 90% of whatever it is that I'm doing in order to prove that I really do understand it. So you can make a few mistakes, you just can't make a lot of mistakes, right? It's got to basically work in order for you to get credit for it. So you can hit resubmit, and then it's going to bring you back to the program, and you can hit the new attempt button. Oh, there it goes. It already made the new attempt, so I could type in some new stuff here and submit it again, and then wait, and I'll get some more feedback. So that's how you know if you're making progress in this class. Now, a couple of other things. Yeah, I'm not going to actually make a submission, so let me show you. So I was back on this Python Basics badge, and now I've done all my assignments, and I'm ready to prove that I know what I'm doing. The quiz review is just a little page that says, here's what the quiz is going to have. And in the quiz review, you'll see that there's all these weird black bars. So what this is it's actually kind of like a hidden answers for you. So in order to take this first quiz, you need to know some data types. So, what is an integer? Oops, I showed it to you. And so what you do is, if you highlight this, you'll see the words that I typed in, which is like the answer for that problem. So you can kind of use this to test yourself. Do I know What a string is? Well, I think a string is, something you spray out of a can, and it's called silly string. Am I right? Oh, a string is text that has quotes around it. Okay, I guess I was wrong. But maybe you did know what that was, and so you're like, cool, I know strings, I can move on. And then, oh, here's some rules for naming variables. If I don't know that, if I'm like, I don't know what rules are for naming variables, I could probably go back to my notes and find it. I could also, oh, look, I can highlight, oh, that's what the rules for variables are. So you can kind of use these to test yourself. And then sometimes, ooh, this one's not quite right, but sometimes it'll be here's some code and here's some information about the code that you should know. If I'm done with that, I can take the quiz. I'm going to hit the back button to go back to that prove it section. And I can take the quiz. I have to get a 9 out of 10 on the quiz, otherwise I have to take it again. Every time you take it, there'll be different questions for you to answer so that you can't just memorize what you got wrong. You have to think every single time. And then there's the Academic Integrity Pledge. So what is the Academic Integrity Pledge? Because so much of this is on your own, I want to make sure that I reinforce that this is a class in which you have to do the work yourself. I don't want you to go home and give this to your dad and tell your dad or mom or cousin, take this class for me. You're supposed to know this yourself. Sometimes I can't police that if you're doing the work outside of class. So what this is this is you promising that you have done the work yourself. And it will give you some things about, you can't plagiarize, you can't cheat, you can't do unapproved collaboration, which would be asking somebody else, let's work on this together. Unless it's a program I tell you to work on together, you can't do that. So when you take these quizzes, there's going to be two parts to it. The first question is saying that I have not violated the academic integrity policy. I give some examples here. The code I submitted for these assignments was written by me. I took the quiz on my own with closed notes. I took the quiz with my own knowledge, not with books or somebody else did it or asked somebody questions while I was taking it. And so you promise that you've done that. The second thing is that you're going to think about what you learned on this badge. So this badge was built to have you think about certain things. And it's going to ask you to write a few sentences about what that is. And so the first thing is, with content mastery, I can identify common mistakes in my code. In the syntax, that's just the language of my code. Or problem solving, I can identify data and information needed to solve a problem. Like I was able to solve these problems. So, and then communication, well here, this is an interesting one. I can test my solution to the problem and refine it when needed, right? So down here you might say, in my first assignment, the code would not work until I found my error. I learned how to read my code and how to solve problems in it on my own. And then here, I can communicate effectively with the user through the output that's on the program. So you could say something like, I made my code have friendly output so that my users understand what is going on, right? So you're going to write a few sentences about what you learned in this badge, and then you're going to hit submit. You can't really get it wrong, but you do need to submit something that shows a little bit of thought. You can't just say, cool project, bro, and expect me to give you the points for this. If you do this, you'll end up getting a 1 out of 2, because assuming that you put this one right, and then you're not going to get the badge for it. So you're going to want to do a little bit of thinking about what it is that you learned and reflect on it. The more specific you are, the better it is, and also the easier it is, really. Okay, now a couple just last little tips. The first one is, let's just say you did I'm going to get out of this. Let's just say you did everything you needed for Python Basics 1, and you're like, what do I do next? Well, at the bottom of every single one of them, it tells you what you can do next, what the recommended thing to do is, or here's some other ideas. So you can just click on those badges and go on to the next one. If I click this right now, it's going to tell me, oh, I can't do that because I haven't done what I need to do in order to get this badge. So right now this badge shows me nothing. And so that doesn't really help. So if you ever get this, it means you haven't finished, or maybe I haven't graded everything you need to have graded, and then you just have to wait a little while. It won't take me too long to do it. The other thing that another way that you can see what's going on is you can click on either modules or badges. So if I click on modules, it's going to show me a different way of seeing all of the same content that was on that last badge. So here is everything I need in the Learn It, Do It, and Prove It sections for my algorithms badge. Or I could come down here and find, here's my Python Basics Level 1, so I can see it this way. What's really interesting about this too is as you do the assignments and you get them correct, you'll get little green check marks over here on the right hand side. Otherwise you get little red things that say you haven't done it, right? Or here it says, yes, you've looked at the quiz review, good job. But I haven't yet gotten grades on these two. So this is another way to see your work. Some people like this way more. You can also like shrink these things up. And so this is just be like, oh, here's my badges. And then when I want to work on this badge, I will unshrink it and work my way through all the things I need to do for this badge. So feel free to use the modules thing. The thing is that it goes on and on and on. It has like a lot of modules. You can see some are grayed out because those are ones I'm not unlocked yet. And then some are unlocked, and so you can actually get to them. You can also go to the badges button. And what this will do is it will show you all the badges for this class. And it might take a little while to load. And that's one reason I don't go to this button too often. And then once you earn a badge, these will become highlighted in like yellow or full color. And you'll get like a little check mark here. And so that's pretty cool because it can tell you, you know, hey, you've earned this badge. The problem with this one is it doesn't really explain to you what ones are unlocked and which ones are locked. So you might like say, oh, I want to see the details of this. Or I might want to go to the work of this badge, and it will bring you back to the module for that badge. I think it's going to scroll down and go right to it. But I can't do it because it's locked. But I didn't know that on the badge page. So also it opens up in a separate tab, which is interesting. The one thing that people use the badge page most often for is for the leaderboard. And so what this will do is it'll show you how you're doing compared to everybody else. Right now it's not enabled. It will be. It doesn't share your real name. It'll share a code name that only you know, so you can see where you are in relation to other people in the class. The other thing I wanted to mention, let's see, I can't get it down here, so I'm going to go excuse me. I'm going to go back to one of these assignments. And what a lot of people do is they see these little buttons down here at the bottom for next. That literally takes you from one assignment to the next assignment in a row. But it can get a little confusing because it doesn't explain to you how they fit into the bigger picture. So I'm not a big fan of using the next and the previous buttons, and I would recommend that you don't use the next and previous buttons. I would always go back to that front page, and I would just click on the badge itself and let its little more organized way show you how to do things. I think that's the best way to get around. If I can come up with a way to put that on the side of every page so that it's easier to get to the main section of every badge, I will. But for right now, that's how it works. So that's this class. I hope you enjoy it and maybe even have some fun. Thanks for listening. Sorry I went on so long.